I love this, man. Technology, right? It was easy. You're like, where's the link? I remember a few years ago with GoToWebinar and all the crazy things. These streaming platforms are making it a lot easier to connect, because where are you at right now?
Sunny San Diego.
Right?
Yeah. Across the country now.
So
Yeah.
we're live here in Facebook, and I'm all the way down in the low country, they call it, the low country of Savannah, Georgia, right? And we got my main man Erik Bee. He's live from sunny San Diego, and I know that I threw out a video on our Facebook group, but I just wanted to have Erik just introduce himself. I feel so honored to have Erik on this call. We've known each other for almost 8 years, I would say, maybe even 10,
Yeah, we're coming up
and
on a decade.
so it's good to have friends, not only locally, but friends that are in this industry that are across the country. And I think it's very, very important because you get to kind of see some similarities and some trends and different things like that. But Erik, if you don't mind, give us a little brief about yourself, because I guess this is important for people because they want to know why we
Yeah,
get to listen to you, right? Why should we
sure.
listen to you?
Well, man, I appreciate it. Thank you for having me on, and it's always fun, dude. Corey, like you said, I was trying to remember like how long ago was it when we met each other at that internet marketing event, and it's been like 7 or 8 years of work, like coming up on a decade. So like we go back a long time, and man, we connected right then and there. I mean, I legitimately remember that event because we were just like-minded, and hungry entrepreneurs outside the box, really kind of testing the boundaries of certain concepts and, what abouts and what are we going to be doing, the progressing the business. And so, man, to meet now again across the country, well, of course we've met many times before in between, but here is fun. So thank you. I appreciate that. And
Absolutely.
yeah, man. So real quick, a little bit about me. You're pulling me on in the real estate space, and that's so I've been born and raised in real estate. So my experience in real estate is lifelong. My dad's a real estate appraiser and still appraising to this day. He's on the very twilight end of his career. But so I grew up in a small business family, and again, my dad as the appraiser. And so, if you grew up in a small business entrepreneurial family, the family is the business. They call it a family business because that's the reality of family businesses. And so, I just grew up. Like my first paying job was painting my parents' rental house. The local rental house split entry place that they had, and it was actually the house that I was born in. But later on it was their rental, and I was painting it and then changing toilets and things like that. So I just had always had my hands in real estate. And after high school, I did not go down the traditional college path that everybody was going down. That was not my path, and I knew that early on in kind of like the pit of your stomach kind of way. And so I was like, but ambitious at the same time. It was not like I wasn't skipping college because I wasn't driven. In fact, I was really driven. But I wasn't driven to sit in the seat and academic and take tests. Like I was just like, get me out of here. And I wanted to jump right into real estate. I wanted to get into business, and I wanted to get into that. And so, and frankly, I was trying to become a professional motorcycle racer at the same time. So that's a side story and side motivation. But what I was really my path to really pursue my passion of racing motorcycles was appraising in a family business. So right out of high school, 19 years old, I had my appraisal license by 20. And so I was appraising full time from 2000 to 2006, right during, if you guys remember real estate in 2000 to 2006, that was a ramp up, crazy time in real estate. That was the bubble, going, right?
I was in high school.
Yeah, right. And I was buying my first house, and I was leveraging, and I was appraising, and I was all in, buying and So anyways, I got to know the business there. And but in 2006 I got my broker's license as well, because that's when things went really kind of wonky, is and started, I should say, started to go really wonky. So in 2006 I was a licensed appraiser and then a licensed broker, because I had been an appraiser for over 5 years. So I could get my broker's, I could skip being a real estate agent and go right to my broker's license. So that was cool. And so I did that and I got my broker's license, and I was just doing traditional real estate and appraising. And I was just doing a little bit of everything, surviving, frankly, in those times. That's when I met a long-term mentor of mine, Than Merrill. And so that's ultimately the environment that you and I got connected with. And so
Right.
I was, a young student in the realm of real estate investing. And so I met Than Merrill, and he was just starting, transitioning from CT Homes to Fortune Builders and growing Fortune Builders. And we connected again, just kind of a young, hard charging, let's go get them type of attitude, right, with Than. And so I connected with that, my wife and I, and we flew under their wing. We studied everything that they did, went to their office, all of that stuff.
Right.
And we were making headway, right? And we turned into their testimonials and all of this stuff. And it was really cool, exciting time. And but all of that really was like, it was just kind of a way for me to, learn the internet marketing side. I was always really interested in what they were doing on the internet space. Real estate's cool and we're doing it, but where are you guys going on the internet space? And
The digital real estate, right?
Exactly, digital real estate. That leverage, the building of the list and then communicating to the list, and how the opt-ins to, all of that stuff was like, whoa, we got to get there, or we got to understand that. And that's when you and I met, right? And so I was heavily a student of that game early on, and Jeff Walker, the launch, all of that stuff. And I was taking those concepts and trying to pull them over to real estate, those direct correlations, right? Okay, could I do a product launch type funnel or sequence for an open house? Like those are the connections that I was trying to make, okay, and my buyer's list, because I was a wholesaler, I was doing a lot of wholesaling at first. And so it was about my buyer's list. And I was like, I'm going to have the biggest buyer's list ever, and it worked. I mean, it
works.
It worked. And we still have Seattle Real Estate Investing.com still growing. Our networking group in Seattle is still growing a decade later from all of these things, the seeds that we had planted way back then. So it's cool to see all that go. And but to kind of fast forward, after doing this, I ended up getting recruited down from Seattle down to San Diego, where I live now. And I got recruited from Fortune Builders. So Than, Paul, Conrad, those guys, they kind of opened a door of opportunity for me. And my wife, she's born and raised in Rio de Janeiro. So she is a beach and palm tree woman. And we're living in Seattle was not cutting it. And so when the door of opportunity opened up in San Diego, she was like, what? She just like, okay, I guess we're going.
She was down there before you.
So it was cool. It was a blessing, and so I got to really marry close, get in close with the guys at Fortune Builders, and really put myself into the engine. I mean, that thing was a rocket. Fortune Builders was growing like crazy. We were doing really cool things. All of that. I was a student of it. I was doing it, and all of that. And so now living in San Diego, and so I was a teacher, speaker, trainer for all of these different things on their behalf. But really, what Corey and I were just joking, like at the heart of me, I am a deal junkie. Like I'm a real estate adrenaline deal junkie guy. And so I got my way over to CT Homes in San Diego, where I was managing all of their marketing and acquisitions for off-market properties. That was the seat that I sat in for 4 years, where we were doing 100 transactions plus, and I was managing all of the direct to marketing. So all of their direct mail campaigns, our online Google AdWord campaigns, cold calling teams. I mean, I was running all of that for CT Homes in San Diego.
So there was like, it was like you were there, you were in a way like a CMO,
Yeah,
almost like a chief marketing officer managing everything.
totally. Yeah, for CT Homes, right? And that was, which is a great opportunity. But for me, it was really cool because I love doing it like that. But then I also had the avenue to then teach it through Fortune Builders. So it was really cool for the inner circle level of Fortune Builders. I was able to like be the front spear of all of these experiments that I was doing. They were funding.
Right.
That's the best part, right? They were funding my experiments.
Mm-hmm.
And so they were like, just to have at
here's
it.
the budget, figure it out.
It wasn't a blank check, but it was like I could put together legitimate marketing campaigns that I believed in and then test them, measure them, go and really pull the science to it, right? And as I did that, then I would teach here in San Diego, the Office Systems Academy, for 3 days. I built an event where I would just teach it was like a case study. It was like a running case study. And I loved that. It was really, really cool because I got to teach not only what was working, but I also got to teach the failures, right? Like that. Right. If you only look at one side of the coin, man, you're missing out. You got to learn from your failures. We all know that. But to teach your failures, like, man, this was my great idea. This is how we connected it. And this is what happened.
This is how it didn't work.
Yeah. Right. So what we found out was and we made this adjustment, and here we are over here. Right.
It's like going into a laboratory.
Exactly.
For marketing, and you got to say, "Oh my God, this experiment blew up." It just did.
Yeah.
And not work. Blew my face. It worked.
And most people, it's hard to have these opportunities because it's really hard to spend your money that way. The psychological thing of like running these expensive experiments. And so that fear, it stops a lot of us from running that way, just like, let's go, let's try. But I had the opportunity to use their money with their permission, obviously, and do it. So I was just like a sponge, man. I loved that. And it really, really helped or allowed me to, not only learn metrics really well, learn systems, really integrations really, really well, all the scale, how to run this at 100 transactions plus, and then 200, like where's the limitations, right? That's what I was really solving for on the business scale growth of the real estate team. Yeah.
So CT Homes, just because I don't think everybody in this group, has even, maybe they might have never heard of CT Homes. Maybe they heard of Than Marrow. They never even, some people don't equate both, right? Yeah. Some people might believe that some education companies don't do any kind of stuff going, kind of real estate. But you were managing, there was not, you weren't managing that was JD, but there was about 20, to hear 20 to 40, different renovations going on at one time.
Yeah, at any given time. Yep.
And all of that wouldn't have happened if it wasn't for the marketing department. Is that correct?
Yeah, I was the top of the funnel. Absolutely. They started here and then, all the way down. So
because we do a ton of transactions. Well, I don't want to say a ton. We do a okay amount of transactions here in the low country, right? And so having transactions going on, a lot of times different investors, different agents, brokers, maybe brokers might understand it a little heavier. I always get asked, where are you guys finding these deals from?
Yeah.
Where are you guys finding these deals from? And I'm like, well, we do marketing. And it's such a, what's the word? Such a vague answer, right? It's like, we do marketing. But really, at the end of the day, marketing and acquisitions, if you don't have that going on, the chances of you doing this business is very slim. And I learned all of my direct mail marketing from you, Erik. It was virtually, and it was from you. And so I still do direct mail till this day. And everybody tells me, hey, it's super expensive. but it works if you do it in a systemized way and you do it right and you can eat that budget. Now there is ways to get into, marketing in a way less expensive way, but the fact that you can put a system together and teach off that system and say, hey, these are the things that didn't work. You're the type of person that is to listen to. And I've learned from you. I mean, when it says the investor's coach, I've learned a lot from you. So that's awesome to hear, man. And can I ask you, like, right now we're in COVID. And then there's a bunch of other stuff going on when you talk about the monetary system and all that. Why would anybody even want to invest, whether it's wholesale, rehab, even put money into marketing in this time? Like, why are you doing it? And why do people invest right now in this business?
Yeah, it's a good question. And I'm sure a lot of people are kind of sitting on that fence or that thought process. I can only speak from my vantage point, right? We've had tremendously successful months, the last couple months in this time. The thing is this is a moment of I call it the real estate whitewater, with all of this uncertainty and people, did I lose a job? Did I not have to lose a job? Did this go away? Did that go away? Things are happening in life level, right? At a rapid pace right now. And so when things are happening at life levels, call it the foreclosure, the recession, then on the foreclosure, that's all life things, right? It starts with the economy, then the trickle effect of the economy, this person lost their job or these clients, all of that happens, right? And so when we're in these moments, there's a uptick of real estate transactions that have to happen because of the life scenarios that everybody's getting exposed to and having to make these decisions, whether it's foreclosure or right now it's people that have that are land rich, cash poor. Have you ever heard of that?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, land rich, cash poor. This is very common. It's very common for people to be land rich, cash poor. That might mean that they own their house free and clear, right? Or they own a rental or two or whatever. They have a small little rental portfolio that they've been growing for the last 40 years. Okay. And that's kind of my parents' story, my parents are the story that they bought their first little teeny house. Then they saved up and they bought their house and they kept that as a rental. Then they bought this one, kept that and that one as a rental. And so then, as they're in their retirement years, they have 5 houses. Right? Not a huge rental portfolio. They weren't trying to build it. They just moved from one to the next over the years and kept the ones before. Now if somebody like that loses their job, their cash flow, okay, furlough, done, all the above, their cash flow is gone. If they still have mortgages or, life events on any one of these and your cash flow is gone, you're like, well, what do I do? Where do I go for cash? Okay. Maybe there's a big medical bill. I mean, unfortunately, that's like, wow, that's heavy. Okay. And whether it's you or what if your close family member is faced with a huge medical bill issue or something like that. These types of people are like, man, I don't have the cash up here, but I can sell this asset and put an influx of cash in here to keep my life moving along, to buy myself more time to make the transition. That is a life scenario that is around us all the time right now. And is it pretty? No, it's not always pretty, but you know what? People need to get access to this cash and transactions happen. So I said, not to be super long-winded here, but it's like, tapping into these ingredients, being there as a real estate professional to help people transition through these life moments is really critical. And if you show up big in these moments with your marketing message, with you as a professional, transactions are happening all the time. And so my clients that are stayed really steady with their marketing budget, not all of them did, but the ones that did a uptick in their deal volume this last couple months because they're there and everybody else is shying away. They're there. So a lot of subject to transactions this last couple months. We've been really heavily concentrating on that exit strategy. It's a really, really great way to get into it. And so, yeah, this is a really good time to show up to real estate.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, I have a lot of people that talk to me. And one of the things, especially, outside of this group and outside of like real estate, and they say, man, you're in real estate? Like, how's it? It's like oh my God, like, how's it going? Like I hear things are not going that good, and it's the exact opposite. I mean, I'm kind of kicking myself in the tail because we didn't spend exactly our budget because we kind of I got froze up a little bit, and I'm like, whoa, maybe I should have, did a little bit more and whatnot. But how did I was reading your stuff and I promoted on the group. 27 contracts since May.
Yeah, that's a client of mine.
Okay, so for people that are on this call, we have experienced people, we have people that have never done a deal. That's different than 27 appointments.
Oh, isn't it?
Right, because a lot of people go on 27 appointments. How is it? And then how about somebody that's doing 10 to 15 flips and like, I can never go on another appointment. Like, how can you even get a contract during like my busyness? Mm-hmm. Right. So there's two different questions to that. Mm-hmm. What's your advice for somebody on the experience side to be able to get more deals going on, to look at more deals, but there's like, they got 15 projects going on. Yeah. And they're like running around doing them too.
Right. Yeah. And that's the really, really common for that scenario to exist. The answer, as simple as it is, it's team. You got to have a team. And so how does the team look? So it's an easy answer. Well, okay, a team. Well, so with iHomes, the example that you just brought up, again, they're clients of mine in Columbus, Ohio, and I've been working with them for about a full year now, and we've been really working on the scale aspect. They had a great foundation. They were the clients that you were just describing. Like, oh, we're doing it, and we got enough projects that everybody's on fire at all times, and we're just doing this hustle, but we're still don't have the lead volume that we want, so they needed to up their lead volume. And as you approach that, there's these issues or challenges that come about. And so what we worked on was just really establishing their setter closer business model, their front end, right? Okay, their marketing systems, but then how do we have a very efficient setter closer business model, right? So that we can really turn through the leads on the front end, and then we have a closer that is just closing, predictably using really good systems. So I introduced the paperless system to their team, so that now they're not printing and doing it. They can sign contracts, on their iPad in the field. So that's a huge effort or efficiency step for them. So we implemented that. We have the setter closer structure set up, and then you have scale. Okay, how many setters do you need, and how many closers do you need per the volume of leads that are coming in? So that once you have that foundation set up really well, and you got your metrics that you're measuring, so the volume and your conversion ratios, but that setter closer business model works really, really well. So we got them into that, and then sure enough, over time, refinement, and team. Here you are, a year later. And
are they doing rehabs still as well?
Oh yeah, rehabs, wholesales. They're doing a lot more wholesaling now. They were doing very little wholesaling before. They were doing almost exclusively rehabs, and now that's more of a 50-50 or now a 60-40 where they're doing only 40% rehab, 60% of that volume will be wholesale. So it's that was a big goal of theirs. They wanted to get more of that kind of front end cash, quick cash, into the business on a more regular basis. So
Well, you talked about it before. I think the difference is it's asset rich and cash poor, right? Whereas land rich might be an individual seller, whereas asset rich is a rehabber who has maybe 15 rehabs going on, and sometimes their draws are going out different ways and I've even experienced where all my money's out,
right.
and I got 5 or 6 rehabs going, well, 5 going on at one time. I never had 6, but 5 going on at one time, and it's like I need to do some wholesales.
Yep.
I need to make some money. And some people have a job, that's their income.
Mhm.
But opening up another arm in their business could
Yep.
be ideal, where a lot of people don't see. A lot of people look at our team, me, my mom, Joy, Kathy is my mom, and Monica, and the rest of us as just wholesalers. And I learned, I'm not an OR and R. I'm an A&D, right? And
Yeah.
so I think I learned that from you or in that group,
Sure.
and so it's we do rehabbing. We just slowed down on it.
Yep.
We'll do some buy and holds. We just haven't found the right ones for our portfolio, right? And there's a ton. And then we also do the wholesaling side of things. But my main thing was setting the foundation right
Yeah.
of marketing and acquisitions,
Yeah.
right? And setting that foundation right so that we can kind of come up and move up from that point. But what kind of marketing are you teaching somebody to get 27 leads? And then, okay, the marketing comes in. How do they know what to say?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because the phone rings and then you don't
Yeah.
answer it.
Great questions. So here's something that I learned early on, or I adopted this as my truth, and this is that if you want to control the game of real estate, the way to control the game of real estate is to control the leads and the acquisition. Okay, control the front end of the game. Why is that so important? Is because if you look down the chain of real estate professionals, okay, not just investors or real estate agents, but title, escrow, mortgage professionals, how many other people down the chain make money? The inspectors, appraisers. I mean, like, come on, there's so many people that are part of that process that
Right.
make money down that chain, right? Well, it all starts with a transaction. Okay, everybody else is going to be making money if a transaction is there to be done. Okay, so now what starts the transaction? The marketing, right up front. That's what sparks the conversation that then gets attached to a realtor or an investor that then creates a transaction that goes down the chain. Okay, that is how it works. So if you want to control everybody else's involvement there, control the front end of the game. So if you're really good at your marketing and acquisitions, then your exit strategy is now your choice. Are you going to wholesale it, rehab it, buy and hold, whatever? Well, if you have the lead and you have the contract, you get to choose, right? So control that game up front. And then, so once I understood that, then it was really cool that I would get other people to logically help my marketing efforts. Why? Because they were there to benefit from it. Okay. Would a real estate agent be willing to contribute to the marketing budget? Well, if I'm giving half the leads go to them,
Right.
Okay. And how about their mortgage broker that's also facilitating this? Do you think he wants to keep that engine going? Yeah. He's like, yeah, I want more of those. More
Right.
business, please. Right. And title, escrow. You start figuring it out like, man, I can actually raise money from all these other professionals that I'm aligned with to help this front end engine, right? As long as we can keep this going down chain. So I started realizing that, and you can create specific and strategic relationships to keep your engine going, keep that front end marketing going, keep the leads coming in so that everybody has a chance at bat, right? And if you can get it, then you got it, right? So that's something that I just believe in, and that's why I've always dedicated on marketing and acquisitions as my specialty. That is my seat within the game that I've dedicated the most time to, and that I'm the most proficient. So, you asked the next part of that question is like, how does somebody get to that level of marketing and down the chain? And so it is baby steps. right? It is a progression. It doesn't happen overnight. Most people, they think that it's like, oh, here's your prescription and there it goes. Okay. Now it takes time and dedication, and it's not always easy, but the answer is it's laying down the foundation of something that you can scale on. So that, how is your system and how is the process? It's easiest to be critical of that process when you have very or low volume, right? When you're not overwhelmed. So I always try to encourage people, like, let's work on the foundation and the integrations of department over department, marketing department to acquisitions department to the rehab department to the dispo department. How are you guys all interconnected? It's amazing how often if you ask that question, you'll be like, people will respond, well, sometimes sometimes. Okay, that's the problem, right? Nobody's using a consistent handoff. So with a broken handoff or an inconsistent handoff, even 5 transactions can seem like a nightmare because you're just always trying to reinvent the wheel of where's that, how's that, what's that. It can be a nightmare. So step 1 is you just got to eliminate that stuff and doing it right up front. So, I use like a basketball analogy, in their office. Like, this is day 1 of what we're talking about. Was like, all right, how do you pass the basketball to your teammate? Let's just get passing the ball down good, like, got it. Okay, got a lead. Now I did this, and now I pass it over to who? Okay, and how does that go, right? Boom. That we worked on those handoffs. Boom, boom, boom. Then it was like, okay, this should be obvious. Why are we struggling with it at the beginning? Then it was like, okay, no, this is obvious. No, we got it. All right, here we go. Boom, boom, boom. Then it was like, yeah, but now it's not always going to be everybody lined up perfectly, eye to eye, looking for the ball pass, right? How are you going to do it when you're busy over here and they throw the backwards pass, right? Are you still going to,
man.
right? Because in the game, it's not like practice. In the game, you got to be so in sync that when that ball's coming up, poof, I got it. I knew the lay of the land. I knew the game was on and I was moving and jiving. You didn't always have my eye contact, but because we're a well-oiled machine and a team, I can grab that no-look pass, right? I know what's coming this way or that way. And so, like, that's working the team and working that out, the handout process beyond just the SOP, because that gets broken and adjusted real quick, right, when things get on fire. We all know that. So you got to be ready and prepared for that. And so that's what we did. We spent a whole day working on that and understanding the processes and in different scenarios that made sense for everybody, so that everybody was on the same level there. Okay, so much clarity happens then. Now, once we establish that, then it was like, okay, we can start turning up the volume. Now, okay, we got the passes down. We're good. Okay, the rehab handoff is back. We get the rehab budget back into here. That goes over here. We communicate it over here to this guy. Okay, great. Like, one person isn't doing all of it. Everybody understands their role. And then, like I said, we could logically turn up the volume. Okay, wow, we could actually handle 10 appointments this week instead of struggling to do 5. Right?
So
we're better now.
Would you recommend that for somebody who's like, well, I don't want to scale?
Yeah. Okay, so yeah, scales is like,
you know what I mean? Because we hear that a lot where everybody wants to scale. Yeah. But I'm like, I'm cool with the 15 deals a year. You're talking about 15 deals in a month.
Right. No, so to each your own. Like, so I respect that. Everybody has their own way, and as an entrepreneur, like, I'm in business myself to do it myself and to do it my way. Okay, so so be it. Right now, does this principle still apply even at a smaller scale? And my wholehearted answer is yes. It 100% applies. It's just because you only have 1 or 2 people team or whatever that's not an excuse to be inefficient, unorganized. Just because you can manage the fire, should you be on fire?
No.
is the question, right? And so a lot of people just create a new normal and they live in that normal, and that's their normal, right? And then somebody like me can look over their shoulder and be like, wow, that fire's burning awfully hot. How's that working for you? And they're like, what fire? Like, dude, you're smoking every direction, man. You're on fire. Look at this. And they're like, what? And then you calm it down, you put out the fire, and they're like, oh, this connection or this automation or this efficiency. They're like, oh, wow. What do I do with I'm bored now. I mean, like, shit, I can take Friday out. What? You know, I don't need to be, oh, okay. You know, business changes a little bit. So that's from my heart. Why? Because I love efficiency and I love free time. I value the heck out of my time. Before, because I was, you know, driven athlete and I needed all the time for my selfish needs of my athlete, you know. But now as a father and a family man, same burning desire, dude. Every hour that I can create to myself, it's to my family, right? Period.
Absolutely.
So that's, you know, so I selfishly want to create as much, you know, time and predictability in my world as I can. And the way you do that is by having your process systems is a overused word oftentimes. Your handoffs, your process, your system, if that's a well-oiled process, no matter if it's 1, 5, 10 transactions, your lifestyle will be better. Your relationships in the industry usually are better because you're predictable, right?
Absolutely, man. And you know, it's funny because you said that, you know, you connected with Than, and if anybody has done research on Than, he's an athlete. And when I got around you guys, it was like being an entrepreneurial like athlete. It wasn't a bad thing. It was a great thing. It taught me a lot. But how do you rest? How do you take time off? And do you think it's important? Because we live in a world where I go on Instagram and people tell me on Instagram that if I work till past 5 o'clock, I'll make more money.
Yeah, right. I know. Yeah.
And that's a subject. You know, the grind.
Yeah, right.
Better work your weekends.
Yeah. The Gary Vee, I know. And I get it. And I digest all that stuff for sure. And I'm not immune to it. And so here there's side effects to everything. That's the answer. That's what I've learned. I'm 40 years old now. I'm jumping the gun. Next month I turn 40. But 40, I'm proud of being 40. Like I earned every darn scar that I got, you know, and everything, and it's awesome. And what I'll say though is that being around people like Than, being in these different environments, being a solopreneur, you know, I've been a solopreneur. My wife and I started our business, you know, and so I've gone through a lot of these different evolutions. And for me personally, I am by nature a work guy. I like to work. I'm a grinder, whatever, you know, like that's my MO. So if you were to leave my calendar up to me, it gets scheduled and it gets busy. That's the way I do it. Now, there's the side effects of that is that burnout is real, straight up. Nobody's immune to it. I just don't see, and I've seen people think that they were, but they have a blind spot, and that blind spot gets larger and larger and larger. And usually, I hate to say it, but it's the darn truth. It's usually at the cost of the family.
Right. Absolutely.
That's who's paying, and you don't even realize it most of the time. But the person that's taking that cost is the family. Almost always. So I get chills when I say that because it's powerful when you put it in that way. So you know, me personally, like I had to really get good at time management or time blocking, that discipline. So that's one of my success habits that I'm dedicated to is good time management, and you know, just kind of the planning out of my day and goals, priorities. And so that helps me because you have to do it. Otherwise you're missing out on life, which is why we're here, and like I said, the people that you care about the most are usually the ones that are suffering. So just be mindful of that and pour into it, because you'll get more out of it. So I know that's an idealistic answer, and everybody, probably gets that. So what do? Is that we have appointments, like I have a boom, from this time forward, I'm doing family, whether it's, we walk the beach oftentimes, or whatever, we game nights and these, whatever it is, but they are on my calendar. I'm disciplined to them, and I honor them and do that. So that is my answer. And I think I would encourage anybody to do that. Now, I think that the other part to this answer is that grinding is not always the answer. More hours is not always the answer. And I think that has been abused with the Gary Vee. And it's like the Gary Vee mindset, which I love. That's who I resonate with when I read all of his books. Boom. Yeah. Right. But again, it was being aware of that side effect. One of my mentors, he has a shirt that says grind, and then it's struck out, and underneath it says align.
Yeah.
So don't just grind, align. That shirt, and as simple as it is, it strikes me every time I see it, because that's the truth. That's the answer. Grinding is great and respectable, and hard workers, yeah, great. Oh, we love hard workers. It takes that. So without hard work, forget it. Okay, so show up with hard work for sure. But now it's alignment. When you create alignment, that's leverage, right? And alignment, that's rhythm. Alignment is momentum. Alignment is where you can create what your goal was with less effort, because you're aligned with other people. You're creating leverage. And so, yes, I do believe in grinding and working hard for sure. But the more that I concentrate on aligning, the faster I go. Okay. So aligning is being better networked, adding value to other people, creating those different strategic alignments, B to B, like where I'm benefiting, you're benefiting. Let's align ourselves together to accomplish something better. Align yourself with a really good probate attorney. You're aligning yourself. Now you don't have to do a whole probate campaign. Why? Because you aligned yourself with somebody that has that level of clientele that you can then service at a higher level. Okay. You aligned yourself. Now, somebody else said, well, no, I'm pulling the probate list and I scrub it this way, then I cold call them. Right. That's a grinder. Cool. There's another way of doing it. So look for those alignments always. And so I don't know how I got so stuck on alignment in this question.
No, I think it's huge. No, I think it's huge, man. Like I got a lot of value out of that. And like even myself, I pull probates and, and all that. And of course I have somebody that's helping doing that, that's their job to do that. And then, we use a system to do that. But at the same time, like, how can I get better at it? How can I align? I'm aligning myself with you right now to learn, how to get better, and we could have had this call on the phone, but I'm like, let's just do it. Let's do it live, and let's talk about that. But I think it's very important because it leads me to another question. Mm-hmm. We talked about rehabbers and I don't want to say just a rehabber, real estate professionals, because they could be an agent that wants to jump into this business, right? Because a lot of times, agents can crush, and just get leads off the MLS and just buy them through their entities and do their thing. But how does somebody who's already doing deals add on to their current inventory without losing their stuff? Because you talked about it a little bit before. Would you say hire an assistant? Would you say hire an acquisition? Like, who's somebody's first hire? And I'm talking to the experienced people on this call.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah. So, there's always an individual answer there. So just,
of course,
so just know that, so I'll honor that as that. Now, to answer it in a broad stroke, most people, the thing that I see as the first challenge there is scaling and just getting the front end, the marketing and acquisition, getting yourself enough opportunities that you have, you have something to scale. So a lot of times the first hire is somebody that's going to be generating your marketing for you, or getting you opportunities for you to then make money. Because then once you're making more contracts equals more money, right? So whether you're wholesaling or whatever, but when you have more contracts, then you're going to solve for fulfilling, the next step of whether it's a rehab team or whatever else. But the first problem that I see on the board when we talk about this is like, man, make sure that you're giving yourself enough opportunities. Okay, because it's hard to scale or hire somebody else over. Scale is relative. Go to the next level, add something
Right.
more, right? With if you're trying to do that from the other way, like, okay, well, I'm going to have a better system over here and I'm going to be better over here. You can have the best system in the world, but if there's nobody to service, you're not making money and nobody's going to know how good your system is. So like, that's the way I think. And I know there's a big debate, well, do you do the system before? The way I understand in the mentors that I've been around, lead with sales. Okay. So make sure that you're hiring and or focusing on, whether it's the intern or the part-timer or the full-timer, whatever it is, and or hiring an agency like me, where you can then, that's a lot of the clients that I work with. They're at this moment of scale. Like they're like, okay, I'm on fire. I put too much attention of my time on marketing and this, that, and the other thing. But as a CEO, I'm not raising enough money. I'm not doing this. So my business is successful because I have been hustling and on the grind on the marketing and all this stuff. But it's now at the consequence of the growth of the greater company, right? That person's, attention. So they'll hire somebody like me that has the experience to do the marketing front end stuff so that they can be the CEO, raising the money, working on the systems and making sure the teams are doing the handoffs the way the team is, right? And so it's just, getting that front end marketing engine going, that creates the opportunities. Where there's more opportunities, there's more money to be made. So that's what I focus on. You're muted.
Sorry, thank you. That was a question I had myself. We were talking before. What exactly do you help, like somebody like myself? I'm doing deals. I don't need to learn how to do a new deal.
Right.
I want to do more rehabs, right? I want to, but I also know it's like another business. We want to build out our rental portfolio with more sub twos. I love raising capital. It's one of my strong arms, right? And I travel to do that, right? And so how can you help somebody like me? And what is your service like? What do you do? Because I know what you were doing, and this is like first time we really talked about this. But how? And I know like your clientele is, you're not working with everybody. You don't work with everybody. No. So
yeah. So I mean, if anybody wants, I'm going to give broad answers here. So if anybody wants, to more information.
This isn't a sales thing. This is me genuinely asking Erik, like, what are you doing to help people? Because I know the people you're helping.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm like, I didn't even know they needed help.
Well,
you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, totally. And that makes great sense. So my clients are the ones that are looking to go to that next level. So going from that solo team or that small 1, 2, 3 person team where you're doing a handful of transactions and life is good, but you want to go to, doing 20 transactions, a year, or to 50 transactions a year. You kind of want to make that next jump up in the game. So those are my clientele. And so like what you just said, like from the outside, those people, like they're crushing, they're doing great. What's the problem, right? Well, that next level is they need their time back, right? And or they need to be concentrating on other areas of their business. So it becomes a time audit. So where are you spending your time? And if you're not spending if the highest and best use of your time is raising money and keeping the culture and your team humming along, then why are you spending time in pulling lists, scrubbing lists, and managing a VA of a cold caller and, all of these, your marketing strategy? Like, that if you're spending time there, and that's where our service is like, that's the problem that we solve, is that we come in and we run our clients' complete marketing. So with all of my experience going into the game of direct to seller marketing, not just in direct mail, but in text message, RVMs, the Facebook bots, and all of the different array of marketing that's available out there, we do all of that. So we're proficient in all of that. It all starts with data. So we put a lot of our intelligence, our time, energy into making sure that we're marketing to the right audience. And then it's a systematic thing of then marketing to them, right? So we do all of that for our clients, and that just allows them to really, again, some of our clients are like, hey, I'm just getting lost in this technology space. All these integrations that you talk about, getting this system to talk to this system, is like, spins people out. Right? Frankly, it spins me out half the time.
APIs, is that what
yeah, exactly. All of those things. So my team, my team is our integrators. This is what we specialize in, and so we know how to create zaps where the zaps need to be created. We know how to pull lists and then have that automatically go into your Zen caller, so the cold calling team works out, and then have that automatically go into your database. So all of the inner system aspect of what it takes to really run this engine is what we specialize in, so that my clients tell me, hey, here's my budget, okay? And we have a discussion about how we're going to spend that budget per the current circumstance of the world or the data, their market, everything else. We agree upon that. Then we take over from there. So we go pull the data, we skip trace the data, we scrub the data against their do not calls, everything else, so it's the cleanest data possible. Then we activate the marketing campaigns, and we typically start with text messages and Facebook advertising, and then we transition that into cold calling, and then even for the very minimum, smallest portions of the list that didn't react to anything else, we'll consider sending a postcard. But so we do this multiple touch campaign sequence to all that's all tracked. So the key there is that we have all the metrics, and that our clients only work with the leads that are qualified and land into their lead management software. So how you manage your leads is a big has a major effect on whether they're going to convert or not. So most people don't manage their leads very well. And so that's one thing that I'm a big stickler on, because I manage acquisitions. And so how you manage your leads is my world. And so I set my clients up with a program called Flip Pilot. It's a lead management software. It's very simple. It's not my software, but I love it. And it integrates with all the software that we need, and so that leads get dropped into the CRM, and then all the follow-up sequences, the call recording, all of the notes, everything to do with that lead as it goes from lead to contacting to negotiating to under contract to rehab, all the way through our pipeline. It's all managed in our software, and it's just really, really user friendly.
Are they making offers like is your clients making offers like at the house, like when they're meeting with a client? Or are they running their numbers, coming back? Because I find that, like, for us, we've done deals where, we'll run our numbers after, we run our numbers while we're there because I've been trained, right, on how to do it. But how do we get somebody to go to a property and run their numbers, like, just, you know what I mean?
Yeah. So a good desktop analysis should be done, okay? Because you can take a stab at a phone close, right? If you have great rapport and you do a desktop analysis, you can, hey, would this offer work? And if you can do a phone close, do a phone close. Like, set yourself up for that opportunity to present itself. So that's what I teach. We do a desktop analysis that gets us into a ballpark. And if the conversation were to allow for, that level of a phone close to exist, great. That should happen. But if it doesn't, which, phone closes happen, but I don't bank on it's not every day that we close on the phone. But the next step is to verify the desktop analysis in person. So our acquisition person takes the rough draft of the offer and the evaluation and everything based on the phone call and this and that. And then they go out to the appointment to then close at the appointment. So my style that I like to encourage everybody to do is to do an appointment close. Appointment closes are the best. You have the best rapport. You have the most accurate picture of the property. All of that is really, really strong if you do an in-person appointment close. So that's my forte. That's what I teach my clients to adopt.
That's awesome, man. Because, we are working that process definitely, but I also meet a lot of investors that are like, how do I, I'm the acquisitions and I'm the GC, I'm, all this different stuff. So it's like, if they had somebody in their team that they could duplicate that process, that kind of, that's how I see it. And it's important. It really is. And I know you're a busy guy. You got other appointments going on, so I don't want to keep you too much longer. But before we kind of end here in just a few minutes, do you have any advice for somebody who is just, they're trying to okay, John Maxwell, Law of the Lid.
Yeah.
They're trying to get to that next level. Like, are you hiring coaches right now personally?
For me,
mentors, coaches, because you talked a lot about mentors.
Yeah.
Do you invest in that?
Of course. Every single year I have a budget of, to me, I think what you're asking is personal development coaches and things like this, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Always, man. Yeah, 100%. That is a success habit that I will not relinquish, because it's made a progressive difference in my life. Everywhere from the first soccer coach that I really made a difference in my life. Still remember. Okay. And then to the, as an athlete, when I was racing motorcycles at a professional level, I hired a running coach. Why? Because I needed to improve certain aspects of this competition, and I hired a coach to get me to there. Okay. It always applied. But the same in real estate, right? I've hired a coach for not only transactional help, but I've hired coaches for internet perspective. I've hired coaches, a personal professional coach, just to help me manage and see over my shoulder. I have invested year over year and year into all of that. So right now, what I'm investing into is more Tony Robbins business scale, really. My NLP and leadership is my communication influence is where I'm really pouring a lot of my, and where I'm investing into myself with, because I think that's, if I understand the game mechanically the way I do, now it's how well can I help other people through communication and influence do the game mechanically as well as I would love to see people do it, or as well as they want to do it. So I just need to be a better coach, a better communicator and influencer as I, grow older, so I can take this war chest of experience that I've developed over the years and help people with it. That's the thing.
Well, I know that when we met, you weren't personally, you were a coach, but it was through technology similar to this, right? And so I've learned so much from you, and, I have your personal phone number. I've called you. Hey, who are you using for this and who are you using for that? But I invested in coaching myself. That was a part of that. For yourself, are you coaching people now? I'm assuming that you are. You got your Instagram called the Investors Coach, and the reason I ask is because we are here in Savannah, and I know you're not locally, but if somebody wanted to reach out to you, is that something that are you too busy?
Yeah. No, I appreciate that. So here's a couple different ways that if you're interested, learning more, working with me, have questions, whatever else, find me online for sure. Engage there. But I have a product that I offer. It's an iPad system. So I call it the Ultimate Seller Appointment System, and that's where everything that I do in my seller appointment, it's all paperless, run on an iPad. So all of my templates, my deal analyzer, my credibility sheet, my cover sheet, everything that I do to close transactions in the spot paperlessly, that's a product. And it's a training and templates and all that. So that's a product. If you're interested in that, you can reach out to me there. It's the ultimatesellerappointmentsystem.com. But then beyond that, I'm a very, we're a small company, very small companies. I call it boutique, if you will, in the sense that I'm not trying to, nor do I want to have 100 consulting clients. I'm not trying to be a guru on any stage, on any level. What I am is a consultant in marketing and acquisitions. So I help mostly experienced people. I have a couple new clients, but very, very few new clients. Mostly my clients, again, have experience in the game. But I do consulting on marketing and acquisitions. So just consulting from there. I also do just done for you marketing. So if you're somebody that's like, I don't need a coach, but I just need to outsource my marketing to somebody that's better than I am at it, then we do just done for you marketing. The most popular package that we offer is the done for you marketing and the consulting. And the reason why is because once you get this marketing engine going, it's really not hard for me to get your phone to ring or leads into your pipeline real quick. Next week, I could have leads into anybody's pipeline for sure. I almost guarantee it, because we have a long track record of doing that. The problem, though, is how people manage the leads and actually do the appointments through the close. That's where the things break down. And so as a consultant, I can help identify those shortcomings, shore them up with them, and so that you're actually managing the leads and giving yourself a chance to convert them. Most people it's crazy to me how many times people like step on their toes, don't know how to position value. They just mess it up before it's even something. And so there's a lot to be said for good communication, transparency, and being able to clearly communicate value to a client goes a long way. And I'm finding very few people know how to do that properly.
Man, and you know what, man? I appreciate it, because at the end of the day, I am running a business here myself. I have my family here. I do my best. When I didn't even start this group. This group was started by Nick and Emily, and this is a military town, and they had to leave, and they seen Monica and myself as somebody who can kind of manage a group. And so I've been feeling inclined to bring value to the group. But I appreciate people like yourself who actually puts a product together and puts your brain power together and puts something together for people that can utilize and get better at this game, because this game is of real estate it's a beautiful, beautiful thing. It's not going to go away anytime soon. And you could be at the beach right now, kicking it, doing whatever. You don't have to be on this call. You could have said, honestly, Corey, I'm too busy. You just got done with a 5-day offer launch. I know you just got done with some things. You're in your office. So I appreciate you, man, so much getting on here. And I just want to let people know I don't make any money if you work with Erik. I don't have any kind of that's not my game. That's not my mojo. I just know Erik's value. I've been around him for a long time, and I don't even know if he has the space. But if you are experienced and you do want to work with him, I would highly recommend him. I've learned from him. All my meetings are based. I mean, we meet we don't do our dailies anymore, but we have them through technology. But 8:44, Erik, 8:44 a.m. I got that from you, and scaling up and those different things. So I really, really appreciate you putting things together to help people, because we got some mutual friends that are using it, and that's why I'm like, hey, what are you doing? What are you doing? And I know we're going to be talking after this, masterminding and discussing some things, but thank you, man. I appreciate it. Is there anything that you want to add, or any questions that you have for the group? Let me look
Man,
over here.
well, just thank you, Corey, for. I'm always open to just shoot the shit and have a good time with you. So thank you, appreciate it. And man, I think just I'll tell you that you're in the right place if you're in Savannah and you're hanging out with Corey. I mean, just to give validity, the you've been in the game for so long. You lead with your heart, and I love that about you. You always do, and there's no mistake in how genuine you are. And I'll tell you that from 10 years of just about knowing you, and it never wavers. So if you're in this group, you're in the right place. I can tell you that. And man, if there's anything that I can ever do to help anybody, I'm open for that. I would love that. And one thing is that really take advantage of the level of knowledge and just information that's out there via podcasts and the YouTube these days. Get in where you fit in, because there's a lot out there, and there's so much potential. So stay hungry, I guess, is what I'd say.
So I know you're in the group. And I think some of your team is actually in the group, and or some friends of mine, that I seen. I think Chris is listening right now, and whatnot. But you can hit Erik up in the group. But also, where can we find you at? I know there's Facebook, Instagram, all that kind of stuff. Where do you normally like to talk to people at? Facebook for me is not the best place.
Yeah,
but then I'm here. It's like kind of
we gotta be on Facebook. So I have a real estate group. It's a marketing and acquisitions group, real estate marketing and acquisitions group in Facebook. That's kind of our tribe that we're growing, if you will.
Is it a free group?
Yeah, it's a free group.
Okay, we'll add that to this. Yeah. We'll add it to our group.
Yeah, come join the group, join the discussion. You can find me there. If you want, more information about like my company or what we do there, that's Real Estate Funnel Systems, realestatefunnelsystems.com. We're actively building real estate funnels all over the place, all over the country, and keeping people busy. So
awesome, man. Well, thank you. I'm going to end the broadcast, and man, I appreciate you so much.
Yeah,
I appreciate you. Hang on, let me.